What transpired in the cockpit that day is a haunting reminder of the complexities surrounding mental health and aviation safety. Following this tragedy, the European Aviation Safety Agency implemented stricter regulations, including psychological screenings for pilots and a renewed emphasis on having two crew members in the cockpit at all times. Germanwings was rebranded as Eurowings in the aftermath. Lufthansa offered compensation to the victims' families, but the pain of their loss is immeasurable, a wound that no financial support can heal. Creating this video was a monumental task for us. Our passion for animation and thorough research often comes at a high cost. We appreciate your support, which enables us to continue producing this content. If you like our videos, so hit the subscribe button and like this video. At 9:27 a.m. on March 24, 2015, an ordinary flight was underway. An Airbus A320-211, operated by Germanwings, was en route from Barcelona to Düsseldorf. Everything seemed routine as the captain confirmed air traffic control clearance at 9:30 a.m., allowing the aircraft to ascend to its designated cruising altitude. But just a few minutes later, something felt off. The Marseille Control Center noticed something alarming. The aircraft was now flying at an altitude of 30,000 feet. Almost 2,000 feet lower than its assigned height, and continuing to descend. Attempts to contact the flight crew went unanswered. Over the next few minutes, Marseille made multiple calls, switching frequencies in hopes of re-establishing communication, but silence hung in the air. By 9:40 a.m., radar contact was lost, and the French air traffic controllers initiated a distress phase, declaring an emergency. Just 1 minute later, at 9:41 a.m., Germanwings Flight 9525 crashed into the rugged terrain of the Alps. The aircraft, lost in a remote area, posed a challenge for emergency responders, who had to be airlifted in. The plane was utterly destroyed, with debris scattered across a vast area, pieces reduced to fragments. The cockpit voice and flight data recorders were recovered shortly after, though both were significantly damaged. As investigators pieced together the information, a chilling narrative emerged. This was no accident. The aircraft had been deliberately taken down. But this was not a case of terrorism. Let's rewind. After the plane leveled off at cruising altitude, the captain left the cockpit to use the restroom. At 9:30 a.m., while he was away, the co-pilot seized control of the aircraft, setting it on a deadly descent. When the captain returned and requested access back into the cockpit, he found the door locked. Panic set in as he realized the truth. The co-pilot had taken over and had no intention of letting him back in. Since 2001, cockpit doors have been fortified to prevent hijackings. To enter, a crew member must call the cockpit via intercom and press a key to signal their arrival, which would allow the pilots to unlock the door momentarily. However, during a hijacking, the pilots can override this system, locking the door and denying access. The co-pilot exploited this very mechanism, sealing off the cockpit as the plane descended. In the moments that followed, the cockpit voice recorder captured frantic sounds, the captain repeatedly banging on the door, desperately trying to break in. But the reinforced door was built to withstand such assaults. The reality was sinking in for everyone on board. The plane was going down, and there was no escaping the impending doom. Tragically, all 150 people on board, including 144 passengers and 6 crew members, lost their lives. Among the victims was an entire class returning from a school trip to Spain. Captain Patrick Sondenheimer, just 34 years old and a father of 2, devoted his last moments to trying to save those on board. His wife later established a foundation in his name to assist young people coping with grief. With thousands of flight hours under his belt, his tragic end was not just a loss for his family, but for the aviation community. The co-pilot, aged 27, had been passionate about flying since childhood, with dreams fueled by posters of Airbus and Boeing. He had become an expert glider pilot and was accepted into Lufthansa's flight academy right after school. However, a few months into the program, he faced a deep depressive episode that required extensive treatment. After a medical recommendation indicated he was in remission, he resumed his flying career. Despite receiving his student pilot license and medical certificate, the co-pilot faced scrutiny when filling out necessary paperwork for a US-based flight school. He falsely claimed he had never been diagnosed with any mental disorders, a deception that could have ended his flying career. After being caught, he admitted his struggles with depression and was allowed to continue his training. In 2013, he joined Germanwings, a low-cost airline under Lufthansa. However, his mental health deteriorated again the following year. Believing he was going blind, he visited various specialists, yet no medical issue was found. He was diagnosed with a hypochondriacal disorder and was urged to seek psychiatric help, but he did not follow through. Instead, he returned to the psychiatrist who had previously assisted him and began intensive therapy along with heavy antidepressants while still flying. As his mental health worsened, he received multiple sick notes from different doctors, indicating he was unfit to fly. Yet, he chose not to disclose his condition to his employer. The system relied on pilots to self-report their health status, creating significant risks for public safety. Although his doctors may have viewed him as a danger to himself, they might not have seen him as a risk to others. The co-pilot's actions raise complex questions about mental health in aviation and the responsibility of healthcare providers. Why didn't any of the doctors who declared him unfit to fly consider the potential threat he posed to the safety of others? The reasons are murky. Perhaps they believed he was a risk solely to himself or were hesitant to breach doctor-patient confidentiality. In Germany, privacy laws are stringent, making it challenging to address such dilemmas openly. Share your thoughts and ideas in the comments. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more interesting content, and click the bell to get updates on our latest videos.